This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Checking the microphones, going good.
It is the 9th of August. The year is 2020. This is the 217 Recovery Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Corey Winfield. Joining me tonight is Marney Liston. Marney, how are you today?
Hello. Doing good.
Yeah. I heard you had some big news.
I do have big news. Guess what?
You won the lottery.
Almost, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm getting married.
What? Congratulations. Yeah.
Thanks. Now you're going to ask who's the lucky guy?
Who's the lucky guy?
I'm looking at him right now.
Oh, it's me. Oh, yay. Give me some round of applause. Yes. It has come to that. Neither one of us have never been married, and we thought, you know what, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how we figured it out. Just like that.
Yeah, we'll do a show one day just dedicated to the proposal and how it went down. Because first of all, guys, if you've ever proposed, how stressful is that? I mean, it really was. It wasn't the fact that I thought you were going to say no. It's the fact that I didn't want to screw it up. I wanted it to be perfect. And when I realized that there's no way for it to be perfect, like to just make sure it was in the right moment, and it worked out great. It really did. And I was having second thoughts, and then I think God came into play. He definitely came into play, because I thought that night that I asked you that, no, this isn't the night that I'm going to do it. I'm just going to wait, and then kind of pick back up some things. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it is. And then, but wow. Yeah, that was very nerve-wracking. I thought for a minute that you had like some tracker on my phone, because when I went to the place to buy the ring, like immediately when I walked in, I get a message from you. What are you doing? I was like, what? Nothing. What are you talking about? What are you doing? And then just every little thing, I started getting more paranoid. And you would say, you would make a mention of, oh, this or that. And I'm like, she knows. She knows for sure. And then we went to your mother's for dinner the night, and you start playing like songs, and you're like, oh, these would be good wedding songs. And then I'm like, she knows. I'm going to ask her.
Okay, first off, people, that was just an absolutely normal day. I probably did that same stuff every other day that you weren't going to propose, and you just weren't paying attention.
Oh, well, maybe.
No, I had no clue.
Yeah, so it was good though, and yeah, it's just a paranoia. Was very stressful. Just wondering if they were going to get the ring size right, if I was going to be back in time, and if I was going to screw it up. And
it was beautiful.
It was good.
And it's a beautiful ring.
Yeah.
I love you.
Aww. I love you too. All right, enough of that. Come on, talk about some addiction stuff. And before we talk about addiction stuff, Zach was supposed to be on the podcast today, and I'm not sure. I think he maybe was a little intimidated, coming to the studio and all. And I don't know. Not sure what happened with him, but maybe he'll be on again some other day. But we'll see about that. Did get to hang out with my good friend Ron Robinson today. Him and Janice, they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary this coming Saturday. And they're up in Traverse City for the week, just chilling. This is where they got married. They're from over by Detroit. So they're, enjoying their time up here. They love Traverse City. So went and had dinner with them. It was a great dinner. I mean, it was like 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. But we had a lot of catching up to do, Ron and I did. And you got to meet Janice, and it was good. It really was a good dinner, man. And I kind of feel bad because I felt like we talked the whole time.
Kind of did. We kind of did.
And, about us and us and us. And it was just like, wow, like, I'm just
But they kept asking questions, which was amazing. I mean, I felt like it was really, I was honored that they were so interested in us. But, yeah.
And they really were. And, Ron, he told you a few stories, from the Arkansas days, we worked together at 3 different radio stations, and he worked in Arkansas with me at Fort Smith, which he said he was going to shoot me in the leg one day for bringing him down there, but he's forgiven me since then. But no, he would say that, we'd be in a meeting, and he's like, why do I smell beer? And he's like, oh, Corey's here, and that's kind of how it was in the studio. My studio, he walked in many times, like, it smells like a brewery in here, and he knew that I wasn't drinking on the air. He knew that, but it was from the night before. And there was so much alcohol in my system that, even from the last night, that your body can only get rid of so much. And then it starts kicking it out your pores. And I didn't know that at the time. I just thought, these guys, I don't know. But Ron had said to us tonight at dinner too, oh, Corey, you just need to have a beer. He didn't say that tonight at dinner, but back in Arkansas, if I was having a bad day or stressing out, he would tell me, I'll just go have a beer, and he thought, Corey doesn't have a problem. It's just beer. And, I think I told him, oh no, I do have a problem, man. But I didn't know what to do about it at that time. And, he's kind of looking back and he's like, he feels like he was kind of manipulated a little bit just by society, maybe just thinking that, oh, it's just beer. That's what people do when they have a bad day. They just have some beers and calm down. And for someone like me, that's definitely not a good thing. And then when I switched back to hard liquor, it definitely wasn't a good thing. But, for Ron to kind of say that and like, but he said he was worried for me, especially after he left. And he could kind of see things kind of getting worse for me, and not worse for me like I guess in life too, but just with the drinking and, how when I switched back to hard liquor and the conversations we would have, he's told me before that it just didn't seem like me, and just didn't sound good. So, he was happy though that, I'm at where I'm at. And they did have some questions about, how when you talk to people and they reach out for help and you help them or you give them advice, or direct them where to go, and then they fall flat on their face again, and whatever their drug of choice is, does that make you mad? Does that hurt? Like, what's that feeling like? And we explained it the best we could. I mean, everybody's different, and the same goes with someone that, reaches out for help and we help them. And, there's a couple different kind of people who reach out for help. There's some that would just want attention. There's some that just really seriously want help. And then there's some that kind of want some help, but they're not really
willing to do the work. Yeah.
They'll use it again once they get back on their feet. It's just, right now they just need some help. But they're fine. Those, in my opinion, are like the 3 kind of people. And, when you can... I don't want to say when you can tell what category they fall in, but I mean, I help everybody if they want, some advice, or, if I can direct them to the right place, hey, all day long. Doesn't matter what category you're in. But the people that will keep coming back, and you just kind of have to realize, and I think your blog had something sort of to do with this today. I mean, you didn't know that, but about getting involved in other people's problem and making it your problem. When you kind of learn to not do that, it makes it a lot easier, and you don't take it as personal. But I would help the person who really wants the help maybe a little bit more. If I sense, wow, like this person's just struggling just like I was, like when I left treatment, I wasn't thinking, well, I'm going to go get drunk. I was thinking, hell yeah, I got this time. I learned the stuff that I needed to this time. And, there are those people out there, then, relapse is a real thing, and it happens. But you got to pick yourself up and just keep going with it. Don't beat yourself up. And I know that's easier said than done, because you're going to beat yourself up more than anybody else is. And, maybe if you have family members or friends that don't get it, that don't understand, that tell you just stop using, just stop drinking. It's that easy. They probably don't get it.
Right.
But it's a disease. It's a problem with our brains. I guess it's not a problem with our brain. That's how our brain is made. You know, it wants to save us from pain and save us from hurt. But the problem is, you know, when you introduce drugs into the mix, it gives us that, oh, yeah, the euphoria that we want, and that it takes us away from that hurt, takes us away from that pain. So the brain knows, you know, hey, that, just like if you give, you know, a monkey a banana or a pencil, you know, he's going to take the banana because it makes his brain happier. It fills something in the monkey's body and in the brain. So it's just like, well, then I reach for the alcohol. I reach for the alcohol. I reach for the alcohol. And you do that so many times, and it's second nature. And when you do that for a long period of time, I mean, obviously it's going to take time to retrain yourself and to correct that kind of, I don't know if you want to call it behavior, but you have to recognize it first and then realize why you're reaching for it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're amazing, amazing people, really super kind. I'm really glad I got to meet them both. But, I mean, they were firing off some really good questions, you know. And, it made me thinking when I was answering some of them, you know. And it is kind of like, but at the same time, you know, it was almost like sort of semi doing like an open talk, you know, like telling your story or whatever and how you got to where you're at today. And that felt kind of good, you know, to when it was all said and done, you know, that they're just like, wow, but look at you now kind of thing. And that was really awesome. Yeah. And they did. And that was a tough, I mean, they said, you know, how do you guys handle when, like you mentioned, you know, when somebody doesn't make it or, you know, relapses and, you know, do we take it personal or what have you? And you know, you can't do that. Nobody can do that, you know, and it is oddly enough, a little bit of what my blog touched on is, you know, not absorbing other people's issues as your own, because we can't do that. You know, we don't have the like brain space to do that in a healthy way, to kind of like take on other people's issues and worry about what they are worrying about to the extent where it gets in the way of what your focuses are. So, you know, we talked about that, and we talked about the little victories that you have, and, you know, on a daily basis. And, you know, all in all, it was really a productive conversation, and it was fun hearing about you and your glory days, which were not all drunk stories. Meanwhile, there were a lot of humorous, you know, kind of way back when, and do you remember whens and stuff. So it's kind of cool. Like,
yeah, there were a few Benton Harbor stories in there when I worked there, and then
what do you call them? Your when you went on your rampage,
my Charlie Sheen
breakdown.
Yeah.
He's like, did he tell you about Corey? Tell you about his? And he said it like it was like a normal thing. Like, did he tell you about, you know, where he grew up or something? He's like, did Corey tell you about his Corey Sheen breakdown?
His
Charlie Sheen breakdown? I was like, no. What about it? Oh my gosh. We were like, our whole table was just like rolling in laughter. It was so funny. Yeah.
He was like, Corey had enough. I was like, well, F you. I like you. F you. Yeah. And those people, though, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, and then they called the cops on them. Then they did. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know. That place did me wrong, and I really don't care about those people right now. I'm glad that I've said this a million times. I'm glad I don't work for those people anymore. And it's look at it like, hey, they paid to move my stuff back home, you know. Mm-hmm. Is what it is, man. I just hope they don't treat other people that way. But again, out of my control. I can't control what those people do. But yeah, so I felt like they wronged me, and yeah, I had been drinking at that point. So I figured out, well, I'll let them have it. And one of the dudes' name is something close to, we'll call it a Richard Sucker. And the other guy's name was close to, I'll just say it, douche.